Hello students, today we'll see the general properties of the transition elements. So to begin with, we'll see the physical properties of the transition elements. Firstly, let us look at the metallic properties. Nearly all the transition elements, they display metallic properties such as high tensile strength, ductility, malleability, high thermal and electrical conductivity, and metallic luster. With the exceptions of zinc, cadmium, mercury, and manganese, they have one or more typical metallic structures and at normal temperatures. So these are the lattice structures of transition metals. Next, we'll see the trends in melting points. So you can see this figure. It is melting point versus atomic number. The lower one is for the 3D series, the next series, 4D series, and the 5D series respectively there. So you can see the transition elements, they show high melting and boiling points. And the high melting points of these metals are attributed to the involvement of greater number of electrons from N-1d in addition to the Ns electrons in the interatomic metallic bonding. So they have also high enthalpies of atomization. I'll show you in the next figure. This is delta H versus atomic number, and this is series 1, series 2, blue one, and this orange one is series 3. So all transition elements, they exhibit high enthalpies of atomization there. So you should know what is enthalpy of atomization. It is the amount of heat required to break the metallic bonding or metallic lattice to get free atoms. So the amount of heat required to break, correct? The amount of heat required to break the metal lattice to get free atoms is called as your enthalpy of atomization. So they exhibit higher enthalpies of atomization because they contain a large number of unpaired electrons in their outermost shell, due to which they have strong interatomic attraction. That is, metallic bonding is very strong, and hence they exhibit high enthalpies of atomization there. Then the next trend which we'll be seeing is atomic and ionic radii. The atomic radii of the transition metals lie in between those of S and P block elements. Generally, the atomic radii of D block elements in a series decreases with increase in atomic number, but the decrease in atomic size is small after midway. So you can see here in the first transition series, in this transition series, when you see that is scandium, titanium, vanadium, chromium, atomic radii of the metals decrease from scandium to chromium, but after that it remains almost same. So you can see manganese, iron, cobalt, the difference is very less. And this is for the second transition series and third transition series there. Actually, in the beginning, the atomic radius decreases with increase in atomic number as the nuclear charge increases, whereas the shielding effect of the d orbital, d electron, is small. After midway, as the electrons enter the penultimate shell, the added d electron shields the outermost electron. Hence, with the increase in the d electrons, screening effect increases, and thus it counterbalances the increased nuclear charge due to increase in atomic number. As a result, the atomic radii remain practically same after chromium. At the end of the period, there is a slight increase in the atomic radii. Near the end of the series, the increased electron-electron repulsions between added electrons in the same orbitals are greater than the attractive forces due to the increased nuclear charge, and this results in the expansion of the electron cloud, and thus the atomic radius increases. The atomic radii increase down the group. This means that the atomic radii of the second series are larger than those of the first transition series, but the atomic radii of the second and third transition series are almost the same. The atomic radii of the second and third transition series are same due to lanthanoid contraction, and we'll discuss about it in F block elements there. Then the trends in atomic radii of transition elements which we had seen, the same trends are followed by the ionic radii. So ionic radii of transition metals are different in different oxidation states. So in general, the ionic radii decrease with increase in oxidation state. Thus, ionic size of M3 plus cations are smaller than those of M2 plus cations because the ionic radius decreases with increase in effective nuclear charge. However, the ionic radii of cations is in the same oxidation state decrease with the increase in atomic number, as you can see in this series. Then the ionic radii of the transition metals are smaller than those of the representative elements belonging to the same period. Look at the question, very important question. The question has come in the board examination. Why do the transition elements exhibit higher enthalpies of atomization? Just now I explained you the term enthalpy of atomization, and transition elements, they exhibit higher enthalpies of atomization because of large number of unpaired electrons in their atoms. They have stronger interatomic interaction and hence stronger bonding between the atoms, resulting in higher enthalpies of atomization there. Look at the question. The question is, in the series scandium to zinc, the enthalpy of atomization of zinc, that is zinc is the lowest, that is 126 kilojoules per mole. Why? That is the question that is asked. So in the series scandium to zinc, the enthalpy of atomization of zinc is the lowest because all other elements which are present in 3D series are having one or more than one unpaired electrons in them, except for zinc. Zinc is having completely filled electrons in its outermost shell there. Hence, atomic intermetallic bonding is weakest in zinc, and therefore the enthalpy of atomization of zinc is the lowest there. That is how you will get the answer to this question. Then let us look at the next trend. It is ionization energies or ionization enthalpy. Ionization enthalpy is the energy that is required to remove an electron from an isolated gaseous atom. That is called as ionization enthalpy. And the first ionization enthalpies of D block elements lie in between S block and P block elements, and they are higher than those of S block elements and are lesser than those of P block elements respectively. The increasing ionization enthalpies are due to increased nuclear charge with increase in atomic number, which reduces the size of the atom, making the removal of outer electron difficult. And the irregular trend in the first ionization enthalpy of 3D metals is due to the fact that the removal of the electron alters the relative energies of 4s and 3D orbitals, and thus there is reorganization energy accompanying ionization. This results into the release of exchange energy, which increases as the number of electrons increases in the DN configuration, and also the transference, from the transference of S electrons into the D orbitals. example, we can see chromium has low first ionization energy because loss of one electron gives stable configuration of 3d5. Zinc has got very high ionization energy because electron has to be removed from 4s orbital of the stable configuration 3d10 4s2. In a given series, the difference in ionization enthalpies between two successive d block elements is very less than the difference in the case of successive s block or p block elements. The explanation to this is the addition of d electrons in the last but one penultimate shell, that is n-1 shell, with increase in atomic number provides a screening effect and thus shields the outer s electrons from the inward nuclear pull. Thus, the effects of increased nuclear charge and addition of d electrons tend to oppose each other. This is due to their counter effects that the ionization enthalpy show a little variation on moving along a period of d block elements. The first ionization enthalpy of zinc, cadmium and mercury are very high because of the fully filled n-1 d10 ns2 configuration. Although second and third ionization enthalpies also in general increase along the period, but the magnitude of increase for the successive elements is much higher. There are some exceptions. Let us look into the exceptions. There is a fall in second ionization enthalpy from chromium to manganese and from copper to zinc. This is because after the removal of first electron, chromium and copper acquire a stable configuration of d5 and d10 respectively, and the removal of second electron is very difficult. Thus, the order for IE2, that is ionization energy 2, is vanadium less than chromium greater than manganese and nickel less than copper greater than zinc. Third ionization enthalpy of manganese is very high because the third electron has to be removed from the stable half-filled d orbital, 3d orbital, that is 3d5 4s2. Third ionization enthalpy for change from Fe2 plus to Fe3 plus is also very small because loss of third electron gives the stable configuration of 3d5 respectively. The high values of third ionization enthalpies for copper, nickel and zinc explain why they show a maximum oxidation state of +2. The first ionization enthalpies of 5d elements are higher as compared to those of 3d and 4d elements. This is because the weak shielding of nucleus by 4f electrons in 5d elements results in greater effective nuclear charge acting on the outer valence electrons. The ionization enthalpies of 3d and 4d metals are regular. You can see this is a plot that is plotted IE1, ionization energy 1 against the transition elements there. So this is the figure, ionization enthalpies of transition metals, and this shows first ionization enthalpies of 5d metals. These are higher than those of 3d and 4d metals respectively. You can see this is a very clear-cut figure that has been shown, illustrated. Let's now come to the oxidation states. So transition elements, they exhibit a variety of oxidation states. They show variable oxidation states. So you can see this is for 3D elements: scandium, titanium, vanadium, chromium, manganese, iron, cobalt, nickel, copper and zinc, in which scandium and zinc, they show, scandium shows +3 and zinc shows +2 oxidation state respectively. Zinc is placed along with the transition elements, but zinc is not regarded as a transition element. This I have already discussed. Why? Because there are no unpaired electrons which are present in case of zinc. All electrons are paired, that is, it is having a 3d10 configuration. So since it does not contain an unpaired electron in it, it is not regarded as a transition element, but it shows properties similar to that of the transition elements. That's why it is kept along with these elements, in which manganese shows the highest oxidation state of +2, +3, +4, +5, +6, and +7 respectively. Titanium shows +2, +3, +4 oxidation state. Scandium shows only +3, and zinc shows +2 oxidation state respectively. Vanadium shows +2, +3, +4, and +5 oxidation states. Chromium +2, +3, +4, +5, +6. Iron +2, +3, +4, and +6. Cobalt +2, 3, and 4. And nickel also the same, +2, +3, +4. And copper exhibits +2 and +1 oxidation states respectively there. Look at the question. The question is, name a transition element which does not exhibit variable oxidation state. It is scandium. Scandium, whose atomic number is 21, it does not exhibit variable oxidation states. It shows only +3 oxidation state. Next question is, which of the 3D series of transition metals exhibits the largest number of oxidation states and why? So it is manganese. Manganese shows the highest oxidation states, +2, +3, +4, +5, and +6, as well as +7 respectively there. So manganese, it shows the largest number of oxidation states because its electronic configuration is 3d54s2, and that's why it exhibits the largest number of oxidation states. Then let us look at the trends in the N2+/M standard electrode potentials. So you see, this is standard electrode potential versus the atomic number. The graph is plotted for, and the red ones are for the observed values and the blue ones are for the calculated values there. So here you can see the unique behavior of this copper. It is having a positive E0 value. Rest all are having the negative E0 value except for copper. It accounts for its inability to liberate hydrogen from acids. Only oxidizing acids like nitric acid and hot conc sulfuric acid reacts with copper and the acids get reduced. The high energy to transform Cu to Cu2 plus is not balanced by its hydration enthalpy there. The general trend towards less negative E0 values across the series is related to the general increase in the sum of the first and second ionization enthalpies. So this is the trend which has been shown in N3+/N2+ configuration. So see here, the question is, why is chromium Cr in +2 state reducing and Mn in +3 state oxidizing when both have D4 configuration? So Cr2+ is reducing as its configuration changes from D4 to D3 and it becomes half-fill T2G level. On the other hand, the change from Mn2+ to Mn3+ results in half-fill D5 configuration that has got extra stability. So Cr2+ is reducing and Mn3+ is oxidizing respectively. Then look at the question. The E0 value for copper is positive. What is possible reason for this? So copper has high enthalpy of atomization and low enthalpy of hydration. These two are the main reason copper is having high enthalpy of atomization and low hydration enthalpy there. The high energy required to transform Cu to Cu2+, that is the sum of the enthalpies of sublimation and ionization, is not balanced by its hydration enthalpy. Hence, Cu2 plus slash Cu E naught value for Cu2 plus slash Cu is positive. So two reasons are there: high enthalpy of atomization and low hydration enthalpy are the reason which are responsible for the value of E naught for copper to be positive. Let's see the trends in the N3 plus slash M2 plus standard electrode potentials. They show the E naught values, show the varying trends. The low value for scandium reflects the stability of scandium in +3 state, which has a noble gas configuration, and the highest value for zinc is due to the removal of an electron from the stable D10 configuration of Zn2 plus. The comparatively high value for manganese shows that Mn in +2 state D5 is particularly stable, whereas comparatively low value for iron shows the extra stability of Fe in +3 state, that is D5 configuration. And the low value for V, vanadium, is related to the stability of V in +2 state, which is half filled T2G level. Then trends in stability of higher oxidation states. I'll show you the table. It will show the stable halides of the 3D series of transition metals. The highest oxidation numbers are achieved in TiX4, that is tetrahalides, VF5 and CrF6. The +7 state for manganese is not represented in simple halides, but MnO3F is known, and beyond Mn, no metal has a trihalide except FeX3 and COF3. The ability of fluorine to stabilize the highest oxidation state is due to either higher lattice energy, as in the case of COF3, or higher bond enthalpy terms for the higher covalent bonds, covalent compounds, example VF5 and CrF6. Although vanadium in +5 is represented only by VF5, the other halides, however, undergo hydrolysis to give oxohalides, VOX3. Another feature of fluorides is their instability in the low oxidation states, example VX2. X can be Cl, Br and I. And the same applies to that of CuX. So in this case, Cu2 plus oxidizes I minus 2I2. So you can see this reaction, 2Cu2 plus 4I minus gives Cu2I2 plus I2. However, many copper compounds are unstable in aqueous solution and they undergo disproportionation reaction. So the question may come in your exam. Give an example of disproportionation reaction. Disproportionation reactions are those reactions in which one of the element which is present in a particular oxidation state that undergoes self-oxidation and self-reduction. So here you see 2Cu in plus state goes to Cu in +2 state, means this is getting oxidized, and this Cu in plus state goes to Cu state getting reduced. So this is an example of disproportionation reaction. 2Cu plus gives Cu2 plus Cu. The stability of this copper ion rather than Cu plus is due to the much more negative hydration enthalpy of Cu2 plus than Cu plus, which more than compensates for the second ionization enthalpy of copper. The ability of oxygen to stabilize the highest oxidation state is demonstrated in the oxides. So the highest oxidation number in the oxides coincides with the group number and is attained in Sc2O3 to Mn2O7, and beyond group 7, no higher oxides of iron above Fe2O3 are known. Although ferrates are found in alkaline media, but they stabilize, readily decompose to Fe2O3 and O2. Besides the oxide, oxocations, they stabilize vanadium in +5 state as VO2 plus, vanadium in +4 state as VO2 plus, and titanium as TiO2 plus respectively. This is the oxidation number exhibited plus 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. And this is, that is shown, oxides, group 7. Show the oxides Mn2O7, MnO2, Mn2O3, Mn3O4, MnO respectively. And scandium and zinc shows scandium oxide, Sc2O3, and ZnO respectively. Look at the question. The question is, how would you account for the increasing oxidizing power in the series VO2 plus Cr2O7 2 minus MnO4 minus, less than sign it is. So actually this is due to the increasing stability of the lower species to which they get reduced there. And this is VO2 plus less than Cr2O7 2 minus less than MnO4 minus. Because this is due to the increasing stability of the lower species to which they get reduced there. That is the answer. Then question is, how would you account for the irregular variation of ionization enthalpies, that is first and second in the first series of transition elements? Just now I discussed about this ionization enthalpy, the trends I discussed. So on moving from left to right along the transition series, as effective nuclear charge increases, it is expected in general that the first ionization enthalpy should also increase. However, this trend is irregular because removal of the electron alters the relative energies of 4s and 3d orbitals there. Thus, there is reorganization of energy accompanying the ionization there. I had given you the example also that chromium has low first ionization energy because loss of one electron gives stable electronic configuration of D5. Zinc has very high ionization enthalpy because electron has to be removed from 4s orbital of the stable configuration 3d10 4s2 respectively. And the irregularities of second ionization enthalpy, after the loss of one electron, the removal of second electron becomes very difficult there. Hence, second ionization energy are much higher and in general increase from left to right. However, chromium and copper shows much higher values because the second electron has to be removed from the stable electronic configuration of Cr in plus state, that is 3d5, and Cu in plus state, that is 3d10 configuration there. So this is how you'll account for the irregular variation of ionization enthalpies there. Then chemical reactivity and E0 values. Transition metals, they vary widely in their chemical reactivity. Many of them are sufficiently electropositive to dissolve in mineral acids, although a very few are noble, that is, they are unaffected by single acids. The metals of the first series, with the exception of copper, are relatively more reactive and are oxidized by 1 molar H+, though the actual rate at which these metals react with oxidizing agents like H+ is sometimes slow. An examination of E0 values for the redox couple shows that manganese in +3 state and cobalt in +3 state ions are the strongest oxidizing agents in aqueous solutions. The ions Ti2+, vanadium 2+, and chromium 2+ are strong reducing agents and will liberate hydrogen from a dilute acid. Example, 2Cr in +2 state plus 2H+ gives 2Cr in +3 state plus H2. Look at this question. For the first row transition metal, the E0 values are, these are the E0 values. You can see vanadium minus 1.18 and manganese, they are having the lowest values there. And the question is, explain the irregularities in the above values. So E0 values are not regular, which can be explained from the irregular variation of ionization enthalpies, that is the sum of delta H1 and delta H2, and also the sublimation enthalpies, which are relatively much less for manganese and vanadium respectively there. Then the question is, why is the E0 value for manganese in +3 state / manganese +2 couple much more positive than that for chromium +3 / Cr2+ or Fe3+ / Fe2+? Explain. Much larger third ionization of energy of manganese, that is the required change is from D5 to D4, is mainly responsible for this. And this also explains why +3 state of manganese is of little importance. Then the question is, why is the highest oxidation state of a metal exhibited in its oxide or fluoride only? The oxygen and fluorine have small size and high electronegativity, hence they can oxidize the metal to the highest oxidation state. Which is a stronger reducing agent, Cr in +2 state or Fe in +2 state, and why? Cr in +2 state is a stronger reducing agent than Fe in +2 state. The reason is E0 Cr3+ / Cr2+ is negative, that is minus 0.41 volt, whereas E0 Fe3+ / Fe2+ is positive and its value is 0.77 volts. Thus, chromium in +2 state is easily oxidized to Cr in +3 state, but Fe in +2 state cannot be easily oxidized to Fe in +3 state. Hence, Cr in +2 state is stronger reducing agent than Fe in +2 state. So here we have completed the trends, and we'll see with the magnetic properties in the next class. Till then, thank you children, and have a